Hello and welcome. You're watching India Global. I'm Gauri Dwivedi. Let's start the show with headlines coming in. First up, 104 Indians who illegally entered the US have been deported back. Massive political row has erupted over this as opposition accuses the centre of failing to protect Indians. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar makes a statement on the floor of the House, says we'll ensure those returned are not mistreated. It's the final straw as Bangladesh protesters torch Bongo Bandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's house. Former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina says can demolish a building but not history. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu backs Donald Trump's Gaza takeover. Trump officials try to walk back on the Gaza Riviera plan. Indian origin prodigy Akash Baba joins Musk's doge. He is the 22-year-old prodigy who joins Elon Musk's new Department of Government Efficiency to trim down the mega US government machinery. First one-day international kicks off between India and England at Nagpur. Virat Kohli misses out due to an injury. This is the last series for India before the ICC Champions Trophy. All right, our big story this evening on India Global, which is 104 Indians who've been brought back or deported, in fact, from the US back to India. There's been now a huge political row that has erupted over this. The opposition says that they were actually mistreated, these 104 Indians who've been brought back. Reports emerged, and in fact, videos emerged of those on that plane, on that military aircraft, in fact, being shackled and being what opposition says is actually mistreatment. This isn't going to go down here. It's going to only escalate, given the fact that there are reports suggest 18,000 Indians who are set to be deported back to the US because they entered US illegally. Now, where does this go from here on? Is the government going to put in place a certain framework? And also this comes in ahead of a very crucial Modi-Trump meeting that is set to take place in Washington, D.C. next week. Before we talk on all of that, listen in to first External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar making a statement on the floor of the House on the issue.
I rise to apprise the House of certain developments pertaining to deportation of Indians from the USA. Honorable members are aware that people-to-people exchanges constitute the bedrock of our deepening ties with the United States. Indeed, more than any other relationship, mobility and migration has had a key role to play in enhancing its quality. Sir, the House would also share the view of the government that it is in our collective interest to encourage legal mobility and discourage illegal movement. In fact, illegal mobility and migration has many other associated activities also of an illegal nature. Moreover, those of our citizens who have been inveigled into illegal movement themselves become prey to other crimes. They are trapped into both moving and working under inhumane conditions. Members are aware that unfortunately there have even been fatalities in the course of such illegal migration. Those who have returned have also testified to their harrowing experiences. Mr. Chairman, sir, it is the obligation of all countries to take back their nationals if they are found to be living illegally abroad. This is naturally subject to an unambiguous verification of their nationality.
All right, behind these illegal immigrants who've come back, there are harrowing tales. While one may go into whether or not it's justified to listen to them because they knew that they were actually going to the US illegally, but it's only fair that we give them a hearing in. Listen in.
ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਲੇਨ 'ਚ ਬਹਾਲਤਾ ਤੇ ਥੋੜਾ ਚੱਲਣ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਗਲੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਸਟੇ ਹੋਈ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਵੀ ਦੂਜੀ ਚੌਂਕੀ 'ਚ ਜਾਂ ਮੰਨ ਲਓ ਵੀ ਕੈਂਪ 'ਚ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਚੱਲੇ ਤੇ ਬਾਅਦ 'ਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਅਫਸਰ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰ ਹੱਥ ਘੜੀਆਂ ਲੱਗੀਆਂ ਪੈਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬੇੜੀਆਂ ਸਾਰਾ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੇ ਏਜੰਟ ਨੂੰ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕੁਝ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਿਸਮਤ ਨੂੰ
ਪੁਲਿਸ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਚੱਕ ਲਿਆ ਉਤੋਂ ਆਰਮੀ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਫਿਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ 14 ਦਿਨ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜੇਲ੍ਹ 'ਚ ਹੀ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਨਾ ਕਮਰੇ 'ਚੋਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਕੱਢਿਆ ਨਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਤਲਬ ਸੂਰਜ ਦੀ ਹਵਾ ਨਾ ਪਾਣੀ ਕੁਛ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਮਰੇ ਦੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਕੈਦ ਕਰਕੇ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਅਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਹਲੇ ਭਾਜੀ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਅੱਜ 104 ਬੰਦੇ ਡਿਪੋਰਟ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਆ ਆਪਣੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਹਜ਼ਾਰਾਂ ਭਾਜੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਨੇ ਫੈਮਲੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਵਾਲੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਭਾਜੀ ਡਿਪੋਰਟ ਹੀ ਆ ਹੌਲੀ ਹੌਲੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਹੱਥ ਅੱਗੇ ਬੇਇੱਜ਼ਤੀ ਆ ਭਾਜੀ ਕੋਈ ਅੰਟਾ ਤਾਂ ਕਹਿ ਕੇ 2 ਨੰਬਰ 'ਚ ਨਾ ਭਾਜੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਜਾਓ ਭਾਜੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਖਾ ਲਓ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਖਾ ਲਓ ਕਿਤੇ ਧੱਕੇ ਨਾ ਚਲੋ ਭਾਜੀ ਨਾ ਖਾਣ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਨਾ ਕੁਛ ਉੱਥੇ ਕੁਛ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਸੇਫਟੀ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਆ
ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ 2 ਨੰਬਰ 'ਚ ਨਾ ਪਾਇਆ ਜਾਵੇ ਜੇ ਪਾਉਣਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਤਾਂ 1 ਨੰਬਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਘੱਲਿਆ ਜਾਵੇ ਕਿ 2 ਨੰਬਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ ਘੱਲਿਆ ਜਾਵੇ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਇਹਦੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਨਾਲ ਖਿਲਵਾੜ ਨਾ ਹੋਏਗਾ
Okay, those were some of those deputies making a case that they could have been treated better, while the larger issue does remain the same, which is that what does India and the US do together? They need to work this out together, the governments of both US and India, given the fact that we are talking of large numbers and also possibly more than one such deportation flight. All right, my colleague Mohammad Ghazali joins me to give us the very latest on this. This is an important issue, Ghazali, one that really impacts the US-India relationship as well. Talk to us about, you've been talking to your sources within the government. What are they likely to do about this?
See, this should not come as a surprise that illegal immigrants identified as Indian nationals have been deported from there, because this was going on for quite some time. Dr. Jaishankar attended the swearing-in ceremony of Mr. Trump, and even before the swearing-in ceremony had paid another visit in December as well, and he had met the then officials, the incoming Trump officials from National Security Advisor or the Secretary of State. And this immigration or illegal immigrants, this issue was discussed back then. What we are being told that even these 104 people who have been deported from United States, their list was vetted through the Indian agencies, call it the embassy there or the extended arm of the External Affairs Ministry over there. They were kept in the loop. They were told about it, that these are the deportees or these are the people who are the illegal immigrants who have to be sent back. And India's position, if you know, Dr. Jaishankar, after attending the inaugural ceremony of Mr. Trump, had clearly said in that press briefing that India's stand on illegal immigration is very clear. World is a global workplace. We encourage Indians, the mobility of people. We encourage that people should go out, seize maximum work opportunities, but we will never support or encourage any kind of illegal immigration or allow our people or back them to go with illegal documents and settle in any other country. And as far as the numbers are concerned, as you rightly pointed out, 18,000 is the number which has been identified by the US authorities. Even that has been conveyed to their Indian counterparts. But Indian External Affairs Minister today clearly outlined India's stand on immigration issue in the parliament as well. And obviously it looks very damning that Indian nationals who were deported from there were chained while boarding the plane. Even some of them who spoke to the media after landing here, they complained that how they were not allowed to get themselves out of those shackles even while using loo or whatever. So that is something Dr. Jaishankar said this is not the first time that these people are getting deported. Also, this is not the first time that this scene has emerged earlier. Even the military aircraft that we have all been reporting for the last 2-3 days, that this is the first time US has sent military aircraft to deport Indians. As far as our External Affairs Minister in the Parliament is concerned, he said clearly this has happened even in the past.
Yeah, he has said several times this has happened in the past. But I guess now this issue, its larger overtone and the overhang of that on the relationship is going to be very different. Thanks much, Mohammad Ghazali, for breaking that down for us. All right, viewers, we now take this up with our guest joining me this evening. And in fact, let me put out those big questions for our viewers to really know the context of why we are discussing this. First thing, will Prime Minister Modi take up the issue in his visit? He is set to be in the US from the 12th to the 14th of February. How will India tackle the illegal immigration issue? It's a major issue. India is the 3rd largest country from an illegal immigrant point of view after Mexico and El Salvador. We need to find answers. The third question, how will the new law protect Indians abroad? Is it going to do that? Because, it's a complex issue. Indians, when they go overseas, the first thing they do is, if you want to be a refugee or an asylum seeker, you have to tear out your Indian passport and such details. You've got to do all of that. So how will that pan out remains to be seen. And the last question that we're putting out is that, well, at the end of the day, a lot comes down to the bonhomie between the two leaders, that's Modi and Trump. How will they sort out thorny issues because of the rapport that they have between them? All right, let's get in Ambassador Manju Seth on this to talk about, well, how this looks right now. The optics one can discuss, and one has talked about that. Madam Seth, is not great. The fact that you have these Indians being deported in a military aircraft looking the way they do, politicized the issue has already become. But talk to us about the contours of this conversation that we're having right now. Coming at a time when Donald Trump is very certain that this is the premise of his administration's work, isn't it? How will we deal with this going forward, and what should be our responses?
I think there are two issues on this. One is illegal immigration, and India cannot and does not support illegal immigration. And if they are identified as Indians, I think we have no option but to accept them. And as far as this treatment is concerned, that was in all these videos that were put out even officially by the Americans, I think this is something which should not have been done to this extent. But I feel, my view is that this is being done almost deliberately as a messaging to all other illegal immigrants in India. If you come illegally, this is what will happen to you. I think this could be one of the reasons why they have done this. Otherwise, they have been sent back in the past also by military plane also, as you very rightly said. And if they are illegal and if they are Indian, we are duty bound to accept them. But yes, we will take up, I'm sure our Prime Minister will take this issue of inhumane treatment. We're not saying that don't deport them, but I think deport them.
So how do we address that? How do we address this issue of inhumane treatment? You're right about the fact that deportation flights happen, and they probably will happen going forward as well. Because, we talk about large numbers, but it's the treatment, the tonality of that we rightfully are objecting to. Because at the end of the day, you've got to have a humane approach to an issue, even if it means breaking the law.
Absolutely. And I think, but I feel it could also be this kind. One is, of course, as I said, messaging. And also because I think these people are so desperate, the illegal immigrants from India. They've put their whole life savings and they've taken huge loans. They put their land on, either sold it or put it on, like girvi kind of thing. They've kept it in a place of, getting money. So they are really desperate. Yeah. So they could try and sabotage their move coming back to India. They could try and sabotage and say, they might fight with each other. Not all of them. All are very law-abiding mainly, and they're too scared. But some might just do that so that somehow the plane gets, they ground the plane or this.
Yeah, those are extreme, but situations within the realm of possibility. Let's get an Ambassador Shashank as well on this. Sir, the view is very clear. You break the law, you've got to face the consequences. There's absolutely nothing that is grey about it. And that's pretty much the situation here as well. But do you think, in your assessment, while Donald Trump is trying to send out a message to all illegal immigrants in the US, it could have been dealt better?
Well, there are a few things which one should keep in mind, that this is a domestic political issue in the United States. That Donald Trump has been saying repeatedly that the Democrats were encouraging illegal migration and adding them to the voters list illegally by saying that if they went by postal ballots, they wouldn't have to show any identity documents. So this is a major political issue in the United States. But as has been mentioned by the Minister of External Affairs, since 2012, there is this policy of the United States to restrain the deportees when they are being sent back. Now, whether the military plane has to be used or whatever else, that is a decision to be taken by the American government.
Yes.
Some of the neighboring countries have objected to it, but the point is that you are getting your people back. In what way? I mean, we have also used sometimes the Navy ships or military planes to get back our people from
Then-
war zones.
Then Ambassador Shashank, I want to ask you that is this now going to be the new normal when it comes to the US-India relationship in the context of immigration only?
No, I don't know what you mean by new normal. You mean that we'll continue to send illegal migrants to USA? And
No,
use
I mean
USA
that
to keep
this is going to be
military
the
planes to
template
us?
in which Trump's administration is going to crack down on illegal immigrants, even if the optics are bad, even if it's with a country that it has great friendly ties with.
I think, Gauri, you have got it totally wrong. There are 5 million Indians living in the United States, people of Indian origin or Indians. They are making huge contribution to the American economy. They are all legals. There are supposed to be some illegals. They may have been duped by various agents, whether in the US, Canada, Mexico, elsewhere, or in India. So action needs to be taken first against them. These people, I do not know whether they entered USA legally and later on became illegal, or they entered illegally only and they have been involved in criminal activities. So each case is totally different, will be examined, would have been examined by the Americans on the merits of the situation. And I agree with you that yes, a humane view needs to be taken, but I don't think that the way, if they entered illegally, then I do not know whether they were being treated much better by the people who led them there in small boats or in containers on trucks, or being pushed into jungles and things of that kind. So I do not know. So each case would be different. And I think that we need to be sympathetic to these people and try to see how best we can help them and the society can help them to get back on their feet and get back a kind of a remunerative employment or create their own employment.
It's an important point that you've made, sir. Finally, it's a question I asked to both of you, starting with you, Ambassador Shashank, which is that there's a very important meeting between the two leaders that is scheduled for next week. Do you expect this issue to come up in that meeting?
I think the two leaders are meeting because they are old friends, number one. Secondly, there were some misunderstandings because Prime Minister went there just before the elections and Donald Trump wanted to meet him, which unfortunately could not take place because Prime Minister Modi was there on the invitation of the incumbent president at that time. So therefore, he could not undertake private obligations there. Third is that we will have to see how best we further strengthen our relationship, whether it's trade, security, or bilateral in many other sectors. And I'm quite sure that there are huge potential for this. President Trump has been extremely upbeat about looking after the relationship with Modi. So
Yes.
I think there's a rare opportunity with us and we should really take full advantage of it.
Absolutely, indeed. Quick closing comments from you. Manju, say it, please.
See, the relationship is important for the US also, it's important for India. And I don't think this issue will be allowed to sabotage the relationship. Yes, there might be a temporary issue between the leaders, and I think they will discuss it. But of course, as you know, it's an illegal immigrant, but we are trying to increase the legal immigration. We will take that issue up and also talk with them about, about humane treatment for these detainees and others, and also increase the H-1B visas and other legal means of migration into the US.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks much, both of you, for really decoding that issue. It's very important, but as the experts have been saying, it's not going to derail, hijack, or impact the larger India-US relationship, which continues to be on that upward trajectory. All right, on that note, we slip into a very short break. We come back with lots more news on the other side. Stay with us.
Add light and a touch of style to your home with Luma Lantern from JML. The light and motion-activated solar-powered lantern light. Just peel and stick for easy installation. The built-in solar panel charges it during the day and it automatically switches on at night, then turns off when it's light. Choose from 3 different brightness settings for the perfect hassle-free lighting this winter with Luma Lantern. Only $14.99 from Asda, Morrison's, Robert Dyas, Tesco and JMLdirect.com.
Someone's happy. Get that lucky cow feeling with luckycowbingo.com/bingo. the site that's bursting with beautiful bingo games. 75 ball bingo. Even 90 ball bingo. Fill your bingo boots today. Get that lucky cow feeling at luckycowbingo.com/bingo or download the Lucky Cow Android app from the Play Store.
Family life. It's made of ups and downs and those little moments. But should the unthinkable happen to you? Life insurance from Legal & General can help look after monthly bills, the roof over their heads, childcare costs, and most importantly, your family. Because no one protects more families in the UK than us. Premiums start from £5 a month and they never rise. Plus there's a £120 gift card after you apply. Legal & General. Ensure life goes on.
Sign up and start saving with Quidco today. Get cashback every time you shop on over 5,000 brands. It always pays to Quidco.
When Tony passed, we wanted to celebrate him his way. All he ever spoke about was bite this, bite that. I'll never forget our first date. Huge grin on his face as he rode up on that big noisy thing. And that's exactly the way he'd want to be remembered.
At Co-op Funeral Care, we know everyone is different. That's why we offer funeral plans to funeral services that are personal, every step of the way.
When I woke up, they said, Alyssa, you've got leukemia. We found out that the chemo wasn't working.
Cancer is still the biggest killer of children in the UK, but innovative new treatments could help beat cancer for more children like Alyssa.
I'm cancer-free now.
Text, call or search to give £3 a month and help build a new children's cancer centre at Great Ormond Street Hospital. So together, we can save more lives.
You're watching India Global. I'm Gauri Dwivedi. We now turn our attention to this very interesting report of a 22-year-old Indian origin wonder kid, actually, who is now at the helm at DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, under Elon Musk to try and trim the massive American government machinery. What is he going to do? Why is a 22-year-old at the top of all of that machinery? This report decodes that for you.
In a move that's sending shockwaves through Washington, Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, has hired a fresh-faced team of young engineers with some barely out of college. At the helm is 22-year-old Akash Boba, a University of California, Berkeley graduate who gained viral fame for his coding genius when he saved his class project by rewriting an entire code base overnight, earning top marks. Boba, who once interned at major tech giants like Meta and Palantir, now holds an expert-level role with the OPM, directly reporting to DOGE's new Chief of Staff, Amanda Scales. But with great power comes great responsibility, and questions are being asked. Did these hires bypass crucial security protocols to reach these positions? This tech-savvy squad, aged between 19 and 24, is now steering key operations at major government agencies like the Office of Personnel Management and the General Services Administration. Their credentials? Impressive. Their experience in government affairs? Limited. Under Musk's vision, DOGE aims to overhaul government operations with cutting-edge tech and automation. But with young engineers in the driver's seat, will they rise to the challenge or find themselves in over their heads? The move raises the stakes to an unprecedented level, especially at a time when the Justice Department has temporarily restricted the DOGE's access to sensitive Treasury payment system information. Bureau Report, NDTV.
right, a Pakistani court on Thursday acquitted Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif and his son Hamza Sharif Shahbaz in an 8-year-old corruption case after the complainant disassociated himself from it. In 2018, the National Accountability Bureau, or the NAB, filed a case against Sharif and Hamza for causing a loss of over 200 million Pakistani rupees to the national exchequer by misuse of authority. Hamza and his younger brother Suleiman owned the Ramzan sugar mills in Punjab, and it was alleged that Sharif, being the Punjab chief minister at that time, had issued a directive for the construction of a drain in the Chinoit district, primarily for the use of their mills. The Defence Counsel had argued that the case against them was, well, politically motivated. All right, on that note, it's a quick break. On the other side of that, we come back with the latest that's unfolding in Bangladesh and India's options. Stay with us.
When I woke up, they said, "Alyssa, you've got leukemia." We found out that the chemo wasn't working. So at that point, it was like, I'm gonna die. My consultant was looking for these clinical trials, and she found this one at Great Ormond Street. I'm cancer-free now.
Curing Alyssa was a world first, but cancer is still the biggest killer of children in the UK. Will you help us do more? Search Gosh Care to give £3 a month and help build a new children's cancer centre at Great Ormond Street Hospital, a home for breakthrough research with world-class facilities to help beat cancer for more children. Together, with your kind support, we can help save lives and transform children's cancer care for decades to come. Text CARE to 70125 to give £3 a month and help build our new children's cancer centre. Together, we can beat cancer for more children.
Someone's happy. Get that lucky cow feeling with luckycowbingo.com/bingo, the site that's bursting with beautiful bingo games. 75 ball bingo, even 90 ball bingo. Fill your bingo boots today. Get that lucky cow feeling at luckycowbingo.com/bingo or download the Lucky Cow Android app from the Play Store.
Sign up and start saving with Quidco today. Get cashback every time you shop on over 5,000 brands. It always pays to Quidco.
With Post Office Over 50s life cover, enjoy peace of mind knowing your family will receive a guaranteed payout when you're gone. UK resident 50 to 80, your guaranteed acceptance. No health checks and free 24/7 GP access with the health and wellbeing benefit. Purchase and receive a £125 gift card. Plus, get an extra £30 winter warmer cashback. Call Post Office on 0800 328 6666.
Add light and a touch of style to your home with Luma Lantern from JML. The light and motion-activated solar-powered lantern light. Just peel and stick for easy installation. The built-in solar panel charges it during the day and it automatically switches on at night, then turns off when it's light. Choose from 3 different brightness settings for the perfect hassle-free lighting this winter with Luma Lantern. Only $14.99 from Asda, Morrisons, Robert Dyas, Tesco and JMLdirect.com.
You're watching India Global. We now turn our attention to the disturbing news coming in from Bangladesh. Well, the viewers, we are saying it for a reason that Bangladesh is on fire. Dhaka is on fire. Well, what's happened is that there's now a group of protesters who've now come and further attacked whatever is remaining of Bongo Bandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's legacy in Bangladesh. His ancestral house, the house where he lived, has all been, earlier it was burnt down, the museum of Bongo Bandhu was burnt down earlier, and now his ancestral house has also been taken down completely, all while Sheikh Hasina was trying to address Bangladesh virtually. So there's a message that's happening here. Listen in to Sheikh Hasina, we come back and talk more.
আমি তো আমার নিজের জন্য কিছু করতে যাইনি। একমাত্র ৩২ নম্বর বাড়িটা সেটাও তো আমি জনগণকে দান করে দিয়েছি আমরা ২ বোন। হ্যাঁ, জাতির পিতা পরিবারের নিরাপত্তা দেওয়ার জন্য একটা আইন করা হয়েছিল। সেই সূত্রে একটা বাড়ি রেহানাকে থাকতে দেওয়া হয়েছিল। আর আমার স্বামী তিনিও চাকরিজীবী নিউক্লিয়ার সায়েন্টিস্ট ছিলেন। তার একটা বাড়ি ৫ নম্বরে, যেটা জয়পুতুলের। আজকে সেই বাড়িও পুড়িয়ে দেওয়া হয়েছে। আমাদের মুক্তিযুদ্ধের ইতিহাস, আমাদের গৌরবের ইতিহাস, আমাদের বিজয়ের ইতিহাস। এই ইতিহাস কেউ মুছে ফেলতে পারবে না। আমি জানি এটা মুছে ফেলার চেষ্টা হচ্ছে। সংবিধানকে ধ্বংস করা, জাতীয় পতাকা ধ্বংস করা, অনেক চেষ্টাই করা হয়েছে। কিন্তু লাখো শহীদের রক্তের বিনিময়ে যে পতাকা পেয়েছি, যে সংবিধান পেয়েছি, যে স্বাধীনতা পেয়েছি, তা ওই কয়েকজন বুলডোজার দিয়ে ভেঙে গুঁড়িয়ে দেবে এ শক্তি তাদের হয়নি এখনো।
You heard Sheikh Hasina there. She was trying to speak to the people of Bangladesh and to send a message to drive a point home. The house of her father, or in fact father of Bangladesh, was completely destroyed. What you're seeing on your screens, viewers, are those images of complete vandalism. It's very fair to say that Mujibism is now pretty much dead in Bangladesh. What's the future like for Dhaka? What's the future like under Yunus's government? Well, no one knows, because law and order and machinery of the state stood in complete silence when all this was happening. Let's put out those big questions that we are putting out, and we will put out to our panelists in just a short while, about what happens to Bangladesh from here on. The big questions. Well, first, after Mujibur Rahman's house was torched, is this erasure of Bangladesh's history? Has the law and order machinery completely collapsed in Dhaka, in Bangladesh? And is this political witch hunt that's taking place and continuing against Awami League? And lastly, how will, if at all, Mohammad Yunus will address this violence? What is his answer to this? Because the apparatus, the state apparatus, has been completely compromised. Let's get in my colleague Saurabh Gupta, who's joining me live to talk to us about, well, those disturbing visuals. Saurabh, you've been working up the phones. Talk to us about what your sources are telling you about how it's unraveling and continues to unravel, really, in Dhaka.
Well, Gauri, as you know, we've been to Dhaka, we visited this museum, this particular museum, and it's of course a tribute to Bangladesh's founding father, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. What unfolded yesterday in the streets of Dhaka is absolute chaos, anarchy, with the law enforcement, well, standing by or simply letting things unfold on their own without really doing anything to stop it. And this is something that's been continuing. In fact, Awami League supporters, Awami League leaders, Awami League, politicians have all at some point in these few months faced some sort of threat or some sort of action or some sort of, harassment. But what unfolded yesterday at 32 Dhanmondi, which is of course a place that's not only seen violence this time around, it's seen violence in the past. It's been the ancestral home of, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. It was turned into a museum. And yesterday, of course, there was this bulldozer procession. And those who had given the call for this march, of course, they were not officially any group other than these groups that have been protesting. But what clearly seems to be the case on the ground, and this is what we've been hearing from a lot of people we've been in touch with in Dhaka, is that things seem to be unfolding pretty quickly, and there seems to be a systematic systematic effort, I beg your pardon, to completely dismantle the legacy of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. And in that attempt to dismantle the legacy of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, what's happening is an attack on, of course, his family, but also in this particular instance, an attack on a museum, a memorial, a tribute to him, to completely try and erase him from the pages of history. Remember, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was someone who fought alongside the Mukti Jodhas and the Indian Army to secure Bangladesh's liberation in 1971. It was a hard-fought liberation. The Pakistani army committed atrocities. The Pakistani army targeted women in Bangladesh, and it was a very difficult battle, but it was a battle that was won. And that's something that Sheikh Hasina mentioned in her speech as well, that look, this is something that we've fought with the blood of Mukti Jodhas, and this is something that cannot be demolished so easily, definitely not with a bulldozer. And that's something that probably a lot of people are thinking. A lot of people who are watching the situation in Bangladesh is also wondering, where is the administration in all of this? Why is it conspicuous by its absence?
Indeed. Where is the administration, and why has the state machinery completely collapsed or surrendered to those Islamists? Saurabh, as always, appreciate you joining me on the broadcast. Let me in fact put that question to Pinak Ranjan Chakrabarti, former High Commissioner of India to Bangladesh. Mr. Chakrabarti, the question that one wants to know is that what is happening in Bangladesh? The trigger to continue to dismantle Mujibur Rahman's legacy continues. There is no end to that. The cycle, it seems that what started on 5th of August continues unabated.
Yes, unfortunately, yes. And what we are seeing today is basically, a joint effort by Professor Muhammad Yunus and his supporters to erase, or as he himself said, to press the reset button in terms of rewriting history or whatever they wish to do. Of course, their argument is that Mujib has been, unnecessarily elevated to a position of demigod and things like that, and he has to be brought down to earth. But unfortunately, that's all very well. I mean, history can be written, rewritten, etc. But you cannot wipe it away. I mean, the fact is, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was the inspiration and the leader of the freedom struggle. Though, of course, he didn't fight in the war because he was in prison in Lahore. And but people fought in his name. And this number 32, the house, is where he lived and where he was assassinated. And then it was turned into a museum. So this is the situation now. There is a complete breakdown, I think, of, in this case, of course, it was all, it wasn't a breakdown of law and order. It was allowed to happen because the people who are now in control and who are on whose shoulders Professor Muhammad Yunus is resting are basically the Jamaat-e-Islami, which was the collaborator of the Pakistani army, which committed genocide in 1971. Today, they are basically fighting back in the sense that, and since hate has become the central driving force of politics or whatever politics is left in Bangladesh. This was expected because the Jamaat-e-Islami has a visceral hatred for Hasina and the Awami League, because Hasina had formed the tribunal which convicted all their leaders, the Jamaati leaders who were complicit in the genocide of one, and they were hanged. So I think there's a lot of bitterness, and this is basically all based on revenge that we see today on Sheikh Hasina's family.
Indeed. Sir, hold your thought there. Let me put that to Muqtadir Rashid, joining me from Dhaka. Muqtadir, you heard Ambassador Chakrabarti there. What is driving these extreme, disturbing developments in Bangladesh right now?
Thank you for having me. So my analysis is different than Pinak Ranjan Chakrabarti, the High Commissioner in Bangladesh. I know him very well. So first of all, I believe that New Delhi should not allow a most hated woman in Bangladesh to go on social media this way, so that she can instigate her party member to destabilize the country anymore. On the other hand, I firmly believe that Dr. Yunus could not achieve any success in last 6 months, and no miracle he has or he can show anything that's so much, would be appreciated by everyone. So when allowing this, people like this, I would say the mob, or if you can say the student and people, allowing them will be keep busy the whole nation so that he will not be held accountable for his failure. Because we have seen that the press wing of Dr. Yunus every day holds their press conference, come up
So
with
arson is
some
how
issues.
you have deflection tactics. Deflection tactics is through arson,
absolutely.
destruction of history.
Yeah, this is how he's doing, because you will keep busy with this because inflation is high, law and order situation is not that much. On the other hand, I firmly believe that they want to instigate army, and army is very much respectful to the democracy, and because army chief and his comrades are very much aware that only peaceful power transition should be done in Bangladesh in next course of action. So it would be help this administration if army, in a shaky position, and Dr. Yunus government can rule over them, so they can stay power for like 2, 3, or 4, or 5 years. So this
How
could be
unfortunate would that be? Do you agree with that, Ambassador Chakravarti? Let me bring you in on the other side of what this entire issue is.
Well, if it goes on like this and there is chaos, as we have seen from past incidents in history, that army being the most organized institution in the country may well be forced to, step in. Because this has happened. I have seen it myself in 2007. And earlier, of course, we have had military dictators who stepped in when there was chaos and things like that. So Bangladesh is not new to these things. And there has been chaos before, and the army has stepped in. So what I sometimes suspect is that that if it goes on like this and things go from bad to worse, the economy is already tanking. Things are not very good. I think the army will be forced to, I think, take over, and that may well be the end of what is happening today. This process that we see, or these instances that we see of unnecessary kind of thing, breaking down the house, or setting things on fire. You're destroying your own property. And I don't think this is very wise. But these things happen when mobs are allowed to rule, because these people are not rational. I think they are just being motivated by their sentiments and angst, etc. But this is not the way that Bangladesh should be going. I am very, very depressed and sorry that this is happening, because I have seen a much better Bangladesh and an economically, progressing
prosperous,
Bangladesh.
economically prosperous, progressive,
Prosperous, but I would say
secular,
economically
following the
better.
constitution, all of that has completely ended. Muqtadir Rashid, how long before this cycle of violence and arson actually breaks?
I will reply in different way. I don't think it's a big deal. So if you see the footage, it's not more than 5% of people across the country, the population we have. It's a very minimum percentage of the population. They are ruling the mob or the mobocracy in Bangladesh, which is very unfortunate, because Dr. Yunus should follow the course of on the way to democratic process. But unfortunately, we have seen the way it has been done. It's just completely you can say that it's a breakdown of law and everything. They want to show these people, maybe they are instigated by few of the social media influencer, and I suspect many could be involved with the current political process, who want to instigate army so that they will take power. On the other hand, they want to create a chaos so that they can stop democratic process and can linger their power, so that the Tariq Rahman or BNP or other political party cannot come to the power by any means. Thirdly, I will finally say, they know they don't have to take any responsibility. They will scapegoat all the student leaders who are very much, I'm very hopeful about the student leader who can be the future of the, many of them are very secular, many of them very progressive, many of them very, centrist, whatever. This mechanism, or who are plotting the game, they are very much aware that they can make the student leader a scapegoat. So they are putting all. They will
Okay,
ultimately put all the
that's an
blames
important
on
insight.
them.
That's an important insight. But Ambassador Chakravarti, what are India's options? They've been limited ever since Islamists have been mainstreamed right now in Bangladesh. But what are India's limited options in Bangladesh right now?
Well, India cannot really interfere in any physical manner, in the sense that the Bangladeshis have to sort out their own problems. And in my view is that, because I have experience of the caretaker administration that was there in 2007, and I dealt with them, and ultimately there was a consensus that the only way out was to have elections and have a free and fair election, have a good voters list. I saw all that happening, and that can be repeated, and that can happen again, and have a proper voters list and have elections. And whoever wins, hand over power, and then let them handle it. That is the democratic way. But today, I think that situation is not there, as we saw during that period, 2007, 2009.
Yes.
Because today, all kinds of activists and all kinds of people involved in this who have their own interests. And I sorry to say this, but I think the interim government, or whatever I think it's called the interim government, because that itself has no existence in the constitution.
Indeed, they have no locus standi. All that UNICEF's government had to do.
They have failed to manage.
Indeed. All they had to do was make way for elections to happen. That hasn't happened. 6 months is a very long time. Thank you so much, gentlemen. After a really long time, I've been able to conduct a forward-looking discussion when it comes to Bangladesh. And credit for that also goes to Muqtadir Rashid for joining in on that. All right, viewers, it's time to slip into a very short break. On the other side, we come back with more stories, so stay with us.
When you have diabetes, progress is getting somewhere, even when it feels like you're going nowhere. The Libre 2 Plus sensor continuously tracks your glucose, so you can see the impact of the steps you take, turning small steps into big wins. This is progress. Speak to your doctor about the Libre 2 Plus sensor.
Now I'm retired, I want to make sure my grandson is protected, which reminds me.
Welcome to British Seniors, the UK's #1 rated provider of over 50s life insurance. We're proud to offer our seniors lifetime guarantee. With 100% of claims having been paid, we guarantee your premiums will never go up and that you'll speak to one of our specialists in the UK. Plus, when you sign up, you'll receive a £135 gift card.
Be proud to protect your loved ones with British Seniors. To get a free quote today, call our UK team or visit britishseniors.co.uk.
A lot of banks will let you open bank accounts, put some cash away into a fixed deposit account, or open an ISA online with a few clicks. But very few have branches that you can walk into and talk to someone without an appointment.
But there are only some banks which have been serving you for more than 100 years in the UK to do all this.
That bank is SBI UK.
A Fortune 500 financial institution offering technology-driven banking solutions with a human touch. SBI UK, the bank with a global reach.
I've been thinking, I want to plan my funeral so it feels more like a celebration. My parents always said I was born dancing. I just love it. Bhangra, disco, even line dancing. So when my time comes, I want to have music, dancing, the lot.
With over 150 years' experience, you can count on Co-op Funeral Care to help you pre-plan the funeral you want. To find out more, visit Co-op Funeral Care or give us a call.
Welcome back. You're watching India Global. We now turn our attention to some important stories coming in. First up, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has backed President Trump's proposal for the U.S. to take over Gaza, as his defense minister instructed the Israeli military to draw up a plan that would enable the voluntary departure of Palestinian residents in Gaza. Trump announced on Tuesday at a joint press conference with Netanyahu a plan for the U.S. to take long-term ownership of Gaza, relocate its residents to neighboring countries, and redevelop the Palestinian territory into what he described as the Riviera of the Middle East. The proposal raises questions of whether Palestinians could forcibly be removed from their home and breaks with decades of U.S. foreign policy, which has long emphasized for a two-state solution for Israel and Palestine. Meanwhile, Israeli Defense Minister has ordered the army to prepare a plan to allow the voluntary departure of residents, saying those who have opposed Israel's military operations in Gaza should take in the Palestinians. Shifting focus now, well, amidst global outrage, top U.S. officials are now trying to walk back and soften the elements of President Trump's proposal to take over Gaza and displace Palestinians out of the territory, insisting that he had not committed to using U.S. troops to clear the territory and that any relocation of Palestinians would be only temporary. Less than 24 hours after Trump floated the plan, top administration officials sought to soften it. Secretary of State Marco Rubio twice suggested that President Trump was only proposing to clear out and rebuild Gaza, not claim indefinite possession of the territory. Similarly, at the White House, the press secretary said the president has not committed to putting boots on the ground in Gaza, though she did not specify how the U.S. would take control of the territory without using military force. President Trump's proposal for a U.S. takeover of Gaza was met with anger and blunt rejection from regional allies, delight from Israel's far right, and a warning from the head of the UN. The Secretary General Antonio Guterres condemned the proposal at a UN meeting after the U.S. president said he wanted to own Gaza and resettle its Palestinian residents elsewhere. President Trump has proposed for the U.S. to take over war-ravaged Gaza and resettle Palestinians elsewhere. The comments have drawn global condemnation around the issue. Let's listen in.
In the search for solutions, we must not make the problem worse. It is vital to stay true to the bedrock of international law. It is essential to avoid any form of ethnic cleansing. We must reaffirm the two-state solution. Any durable peace will require tangible, irreversible, and permanent progress toward the two-state solution, an end to the occupation, and the establishment of an independent Palestinian state with Gaza as an integral part.
Australia has introduced strict laws to combat hate crimes, introducing mandatory minimum sentences for a range of terrorism offences and displaying hate symbols following a spate of anti-Semitic attacks in Sydney and Melbourne. The new laws passed on Thursday toughen punishment for hate crimes, including minimum 6-year prison sentences for terrorism offences and at least 12-month sentences for less serious hate crimes, such as giving a Nazi salute in public. The legislation also creates new offences for threatening force or violence against targeted groups and people based on their sexual orientation, gender identity, disability, religion, or ethnicity. Turning our attention to Iran, where a daring protest in Iran's second largest city, Mashhad, has gone viral after a woman was filmed stripping naked and jumping onto a police car. The shocking footage shared on social media shows the woman yelling at armed officers as she stands on the hood of the car in the crowded streets. She then climbed onto the windshield, making a defiant gesture. Despite attempts by officers to get her down, she refuses to move, even as one officer reaches into the vehicle, reportedly for a weapon. While the exact motivation behind her actions is unclear, reports on social media suggest that she was protesting Iran's increasingly oppressive clothing laws when it comes to women. The image of this Iranian woman's bold resistance has echoed through the streets, challenging Tehran's oppressive laws with the weight of 1,000 screams. The morality police may think they can silence women's rights with force and humiliation, but the courage of these women who rise up despite brutal retaliation will never be smothered. Every protest, every act of rebellion is a torch in the dark, showing the world that no tyranny can hold back the fight for freedom. Women in Iran are not just fighting for a change in dress code, they are fighting for their right to exist as equals in the society. Turning attention to the latest in climate, well, climate change is here and how. Last month was the world's warmest January on record, raising further questions about the pace of climate change. Scientists say that January 2025 had been expected to be slightly cooler than January 2024 because of a shift away from natural weather patterns in the Pacific known as El Nino. But instead, last month broke the record of January 2024 by nearly 0.1 degrees centigrade, according to the European Copernicus Climate Service. The world's warning is due to emissions of planet-heating gases from human activities, mainly the burning of fossil fuels. But scientists say they cannot fully explain why last month was so particularly hot around the world. All right, on that note, it's a wrap on this edition of India Global. Thanks so very much for watching.
With retirement round the corner, I want to spend more time with my family and less time worrying about the numbers. Which reminds me.
Welcome to British Seniors, the UK's #1 rated provider of over 50s life insurance.
Hi, I'd like a quick quote.
No problem. We're proud to offer our seniors lifetime guarantee. With 100% of claims having been paid, we guarantee your premiums will never go up and that you'll speak to one of our specialists in the UK. UK residents aged 50 to 80 are guaranteed to be accepted. Depending on your age, your loved ones can get a cash payout up to £10,000.
And that money could help with funeral costs or even as a gift for the grandkids. I'll do it.
Plus, when you sign up, you'll receive a £135 gift card and free 24/7 GP advice and health services.
You got them all right. That's amazing.
Be proud to protect your loved ones with British Seniors. To get a free quote today, call our UK team on 0800 977 5808 or visit britishseniors.co.uk.
When I woke up, they said, Alyssa, you've got leukemia. We found out that the chemo wasn't working. So at that point, it was like, I'm gonna die. My consultant was looking for these clinical trials and she found this one at Great Ormond Street. I'm cancer-free now.
Curing Alyssa was a world first, but cancer is still the biggest killer of children in the UK. Will you help us do more? Search Gosh Care to give £3 a month and help build a new children's cancer centre at Great Ormond Street Hospital, a home for breakthrough research with world-class facilities to help beat cancer for more children. Together, with your kind support, we can help save lives and transform children's cancer care for decades to come. Text CARE to 70125 to give £3 a month and help build our new children's cancer centre. Together, we can beat cancer for more children.
I'll fix him, love. Poor pet. Just shows you never know what's going to happen. Which reminds me, I need to protect the life we've built. That's why I'm looking into Smart Family Life Insurance.
Hi, I'd like a quick quote, please.
OK. You can choose a benefit amount up to £750,000, depending on your age. If you're a UK resident aged 18 to 64, you can apply with just a few health and lifestyle questions. For £250,000 of cover, the price starts at just £14.77 a month.
That's less than I thought. And it could help my husband with the mortgage.
Just like families, not all life insurance is the same. That's why we offer the Smart Family Guarantee.
That's good to know.
You'll also receive a 100% advance in the event of terminal illness and 10% cash back on your first year's premiums. That's the Smart Cashback. Plus, you'll also get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Protect the life you've built the smart way. To get a free quote today, call our specialist UK team on 0800 977 5753 or visit smartinsurance.co.uk.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello and welcome to the Southern View. I'm Veera Raghav. Special focus this evening on the opposition protests over the UGC draft guidelines in the national capital. But first, let's take you through the headlines we're tracking this hour. The intense face-off in Parliament continues. The Prime Minister slams Congress for emergency and permit Raj. In his reply earlier, SP Chief Akhilesh Yadav creates drama by presenting a shroud to the Election Commission, declares the poll body dead. Heated debate over US deportations in Parliament. External Affairs Minister says the policy has been in place since 2012 after the opposition attacks the government for defending US policies. The Apex Court frames a set of questions for the Tamil Nadu governor, expresses concern while hearing the Tamil Nadu plea against the governor Ravi for not granting assent to bills passed by the state legislature. Well, first up this evening, the protests led by the Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam against the UGC draft rules in the national capital had Rahul Gandhi and the Samajwadi Party's Akhilesh Yadav in attendance, along with the DMK's Kanimozhi Karunanidhi. While Tamil Nadu, remember, had taken the lead in the opposition to the UGC draft guidelines, 6 opposition rule states, including Karnataka, Telangana, Himachal, Kerala and Jharkhand, have also demanded the withdrawal of the draft guidelines. The most contentious aspect in that draft rules is the proposal to curb the powers of the state government in appointment of search committees and appointment of vice-chancellors to universities. Meanwhile, the UGC has extended the deadline to submit responses to its draft rules till the 28th of February.
Aim of the RSS is the eradication of all other histories, all other cultures, all other traditions in this country. That is their starting point, and that is what they want to achieve, because they want to impose one idea, which is their idea, one history, one tradition, one language on this country. And this attempt that they're doing with the education system of the different states, this is just another attempt to push their agenda.
Hi, Kanimozhi here right now. Ma'am, one question just. Ma'am, we understand that you're saying, this is not a transparent system. Yes. Why do you say so?
See, when you say that the union government will recommend non-academics and the system which has been followed, and in that panel to select the vice-chancellor, you will not have the state government say in it. Obviously goes against state autonomy, state rights, and I think education is still in the concurrent list. It is not it's not in the union list. So I think the union government has to learn to respect.
It is in the concurrent list, ma'am. However, the constitution states that if state law and central law are in conflict, then the latter shall prevail.
You cannot make laws which go against the interests of students from backward communities and from SESTs who've been left out of the education system for centuries. So this is exactly what they're trying to do.
Remember, already several opposition rule states are fighting governors over vice-chancellor appointments, and with the opposition closing ranks on this issue, the question now is, what is the centre's stand on the matter, and will the centre relent? Joining me this evening, Surabhi Hodigare of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Dr. Saeed Hafiz of the DMK, Bhavya Narasimhamurthy of the Congress, and our very own Dr. Sandeep Shastri. Thanks to all 4 of you for joining us here on the Southern View this evening. My first question to you, Surabhi Hodigare, the insinuation is that the draft rules are less about trying to bring in reforms or functioning of education, more about trying to gain political ideological control over universities, which is being opposed by several states, at the moment opposition states. How do you respond?
Rahul Gandhi's statement on the RSS and the BJP ecosystem is completely misinformed and is rooted in this perspective that universities and academia is a battleground for political ideologies. It is not. We are in a country today that has the youngest youth population. We have a median age of 28. We need to empower our kids to make sure that they are at their best in terms of what they are learning. And that is what this UGC guideline is attempting to do. And this is what the NEP is doing. We have seen that in many reports where the NEP has worked in various ways in higher education as well. What the states are opposing is not their curling of authority. It's not, autonomy. What I found it so laughable that Rahul Gandhi would say that we are trying to impose one language, everything. I'm sitting in the BJP office today. Please look at the representation of languages that's happening. That is a complete misinformation that the Congress ecosystem likes to peddle. What this, why the states are unhappy, these opposition states, is because what the UGC is trying to do is standardize, make sure that there's more accountability, bring in transparency and higher efficiency. This means that the states can't appoint who they want to. This means that you cannot buy off a seat. This means that there is more guidelines and stricter guidelines to follow. That is what the states are opposing, in the guard of their autonomy. Please tell me, when there is a UGC Act, when there is specific guidelines to be followed for appointment of VCs, why is it that Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, when he was in recent state university, said that no, let's do away with the governor's role and the Chief Minister will make an appointment? How can a political person make an appointment? You have zero trust in the institutions.
Let me take the first point you're making, Surbhi Hodigare, to my friend, to Syed Hafizullah of the DMK. Syed, the argument Surbhi is making that this is about standardization and not about control. What the opposition is worried about is standardization of education. That's the argument she's made. Please respond.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. The whole controversy has two major angles to it. One is a constitutional angle, second is a political angle. As far as the constitutional angle is concerned, the fact is similar, that a UGC regulation is a sub-legislation. It is not a law, it is not a legislation. Whereas state statutes, the state university statutes are laws and legislation. The Supreme Court judgment says that when there is a central law and a state law, when they're contradicting, the central law prevails. But in no wisdom of law, that a sub-legislation can override or overrule a state statutory is not an acceptable theory or an acceptable principle in law. Hence, first thing, legally, it's invalid to bring in a regulation, a sub-legislation that will override a state power or a state law. That itself is against the cooperative federalism. That's first constitutional angle to it. Second, the Prime Minister who mourns emergency till today, the emergency was taken to concurrent list during the emergency. The Prime Minister who mounts emergency should undo and send the education back to the state list. Rather, whatever is remaining in the concurrent list, the Prime Minister is behaving as the Union government is behaving as if it is going to the Union list, which is unacceptable. That is again unconstitutional. 3, Vice Chancellor is an administrative post. It is not a teaching post. So, how can you improve the academic standard by by bringing laws to change the administrative post? See, the UGC Primary Act of the 1956 clearly states that UGC can do anything to improve academic standard. But here, Vice Chancellor is an administrative post. So how can you bring that?
Syed, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you've raised 3 very important questions, and I'm going to get Surbhi to respond to each one of them. Surbhi, very, very briefly, quick responses. 1, it violates the spirit of cooperative federalism, says Syed Hafizullah. 2, it has nothing to do with administration. 3, he says, more importantly, it's time to move education back to the state list, which was moved into the concurrent list during the emergency. Quick responses from you before I get to Bhavya.
My quick response is, I welcome the, the statement that it should be moved back to the state list. If DMK truly believes that, then I'm sure they will apply the same standard for everything that was done during the emergency and, be supportive of everything that was done during the undoing everything during the emergency, including the inclusion of secularism in the constitution, in the preamble. Having said that, coming back to the issue, I'd like to say that if at all if we